As I said, I have a ton of projects. I think I'm close to having 10 active projects right now. While I think I got the hang of it, somewhere between having done it once and circa a million times, on a wild goose chase looking for, I think, 2 more skeins. Starting to be a little bit afraid because it feels like I've used quite a lot of this skein. Here is the yarn. I hope it looks okay. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Oline and I'm a knitter from Norway, and welcome to my knitting podcast. Here I talk about all things knitting, current projects, finished projects, planned projects, and I do talk a fair bit about all of my yarn, just anything that pops into my head while we sit here and chat. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me this week. I have been able to work on a lot of fun projects this week, and I've also gotten yarn for a really fun project, so I'm really excited to share with you everything I've been able to do this week. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm wearing, and today I'm wearing one of my favorite summer pieces ever. This is the Blouse No1, the first Blouse No1 that I ever made. I made this, I think, in the middle of last summer, and I love it. It is my absolutely most worn summer knit, and it's one of my summer knits that also did the best during other seasons than summer, so this is a big favorite. Here it is. I love the fit of the Blouse No1, that's why I've ended up making so many of them. I absolutely love this color. I'm so sad that it's discontinued. This is the turquoise colorway of the cotton merino. As I said, it has been discontinued, and I don't really think that Drops has any of the really great turquoise colors anymore, but this is really lovely. I'm really glad I got this yarn, so I was able to make this, and I'm so glad I decided to make this in cotton merino. I think the recommended yarn is I think it might be double pure silk, knitting for olive pure silk, but I knew that for the climate where I live and for the best experience while knitting, that I didn't want to do that because I don't love working with pure silk. I've done it once and it was quite rough. And also I wanted to use yarn I already had, and knitting for olive pure silk is also super expensive, so I went with cotton merino. It's cotton, which is great for summer, but also merino, so I can wear it more than just in the middle of summer, and that has really worked out for me. I've been wearing this tons. Of course, it isn't the best winter sweater because it is really open here. I guess you would call this a boat neck. It's really open for winter and when it's super cold. It's also quite short for when it's cold, and this is really open for when it's really cold, but it works for like kind of cold days and inside, and it works so well for summer, and the little bit of merino in it keeps me warm on like the cold summer days, so this is absolutely fantastic. It's definitely one of my favorite sweaters, especially because of the color. I highly recommend making a Blouse No1 if you haven't. I think I ended up making 3 last year. I made this. This is the original following the pattern. And then I made one t-shirt where I just cropped the sleeves. And then I also made one dress. So it is a really versatile pattern. It's a really great base for a pattern, and you can play around with it as much as you like. And even when following the pattern just as is, it's a really great sweater, and it's also in only stockinette. I think you have to do a couple of purl rows to do German short rows, but those are kind of optional. I only did German short rows on this one and the dress, and it's not that noticeable, so highly recommend this pattern. It's by Myfavouritethings.knitwear, and in my opinion you do get a lot of pattern for the price because it is such a great base pattern, and you can do so much fun from that pattern, so I cannot recommend this enough. And that's what I'm wearing today. I'm trying to wear as much of my summer knits as possible because this is kind of the only time of year I'm able to wear them, except for this one. And I'm still in the process of trying to manifest summer. We've had a couple of great days, but it does feel more like fall than summer at this point. So hopefully wearing my summer knits will work. But all of that being said, I think we can move into everything I've been doing this week, and I don't know where to start because I have so many projects right now, but I think we'll just have to start with whatever is at the top of my piles and move from there. As I said, I have a ton of projects. I think I'm close to having 10 active projects right now because it's summer. I want to be able to get to all of my summer projects, so I'm kind of just casting on as I go. But I'm really struggling to have the time to finish them, and with some of them I'm losing yarn chicken. I just can't seem to win yarn chicken lately. It's a real problem, but I have a couple of projects that are just waiting, like this felted sitting mat. It just can't be a priority right now. It's not really a summer project, so this is waiting until I have more time. I've even stolen the needles from it right now. And then I also have my Dawn to Dusk Shacket in a box here. Still have not been able to get back to that. I really hope I'll be able to get back to that soon. But I don't think it's going to be happening this week either. I really hope I'll be able to get back to it in July, but it's been a couple of really crazy weeks, and they've been way more busy than I thought. I kind of thought that after the wedding dress I would be done with the crazy deadlines and all of the stress, but it seems I'm not really able to function without them. I just keep making new ones, but hopefully I'll at least be able to get fewer whips soon because I'm going a bit crazy. But while we are talking about the felted sitting mat, I did actually cast on for a new one just before this podcast, like minutes before starting this podcast. I cast this on. I'm just going to knit on it a little bit while we talk because I need this to be finished. This is that same sitting mat, that's the other one, but this is going to be like normal size. I'm using the free pattern from Sandnes Garn for this one as well, also 5.5 millimeters, and I'm using Drops Nepal yarn. This is Drops Nepal yarn that was meant for slippers, but the slipper deadline is in December because the slippers are for Christmas, and this sitting mat has a deadline that is the 20th of July, so I don't have as much time to knit this, so I'm just going to borrow some of the slipper yarn, and I don't have enough yarn for all of the slippers anyway, so I'm going to have to order more, so I'm just going to have to order even more now. But this felted sitting mat is going to be part of my cousin's christening gift. I think I'm going to, or I know I'm going to make this sitting mat, and I think I'm going to get a knife and maybe a cup and try to burn the name, her name into that, and then I'm going to try to needle felf her name into this, or maybe her initials into this sitting mat. So that's why I'm doing that now. I'm quite good on that deadline because it's still a month left, but everything that's done is great. I don't want to wait until the last second, so I'm just doing that now. And I think the color of Nepal I'm using is called Raspberry Rose. It is a really lovely color, a quite bold, like pink purple color. I love this color a lot, so I'm doing that. And while we also talk about the Nepal yarn, I'll just talk a little bit about the slippers. Kind of all of my projects are connected. I have not been able to make any slippers this week. I thought I would, because I kind of have that rule for myself that I make slippers from Wednesday until I do the podcast. But this week I was traveling on Wednesday and Thursday, and today, Friday, while I podcast, I haven't been able to make a slipper this morning, so no slippers this week. But I still think I might not be ahead of schedule anymore, but I don't think I'm behind either. I'm just kind of exactly where I'm supposed to be, so I'm not stressing about it. But I hope I'll be able to get to it this week. Hopefully at the start of this week I'll be able to finish a lot of projects and get them off of my needles, and then I'll be able to focus on slippers on Wednesday and Thursday without having to stress too much. My plan for this week, I had found the yarn that I was planning to knit. I was planning to knit 2 pairs, one pair in this color actually, and one in the color olive, because I wanted to finish all of the slippers for one family, so it would be easier to kind of sort all of the finished ones. But I didn't get around it this week, so hopefully next week. But now I have until Wednesday to finish everything else, so I can go back to slippers. But yeah, that is all of the Nepal projects. I think I've done 10 rows on this now, and I think I'm supposed to do 50 of the garter stitch bumps. So I hope this can be finished today actually, and then once this is finished, and I think I have 7 finished slippers, and also the other felted sitting mat is also done, so I'm going to have a crazy week or 2 of felting in my near future. But I hope I'll be able to get as much done as possible, because I want to, when I'm felting, I just want to do felting for a while, so I won't have to go back and forth, because felting kind of scares me, because you can't really fix any mistakes you make while felting. You can fix a little bit by using conditioner, I think, but you can't really fix a lot, so it scares me. So I just want to be in the mindset of doing felting and then do that a lot and then not at all. But those are all of my Nepal and felting projects. It's fun to work on big needles, but I'm trying to not do it too much because it is summer and I want to work on more summery projects. But the project I worked the most on this week is definitely not summery, and that is this blanket. I went into this week being in kind of a monogamous knitter mood, and I still kind of am, but I've opened up a bit more to work on different projects, but it's been really fun to just work on one project and try to get that done. Unfortunately, the project I chose to be a monogamous knitter on was not the best project to choose for that. This is a blanket. This is the Mini Augustins #1 by Augustins.dk. It is a really nice lace blanket, and I've had a lot of fun working it up. But since I chose this to be a monogamous knitter on, I wanted it to progress kind of quickly so I would be able to move on to other projects, and this did not progress quickly at all. Usually round blankets progress really quickly for me because it's really motivational to see them grow in the round, but this one took so long, and I think the main culprit of that is all of these bubbles. I have done bubbles before, but just barely. I think I've just done it on a couple of knitted stuffed animals. So I've gotten a lot of training in doing bubbles doing this, and while I think I got the hang of it, somewhere between having done it once and circa a million times, they never get quick to knit. They always take a lot of time to knit, and there are so many bubbles here. I don't know if you can see, but they're everywhere. So this took me a lot of time, and there are also so many stitches. I think at the end, before I started the border, I had 288 stitches, and I was doing bubbles all of the time, so it was a lot to keep track of, but it looks really, really, really nice, and I love this color. This is alpaca wool, which is my favorite yarn. It is a dream to work up, and it is a dream to touch. It's just a dream all around, and I've done it in the color almond. But another problem with this is that I had 300 grams of that yarn in that color, and I thought that would be enough. I've made a couple of round blankets before, and I've never used more than 300 grams, so I thought that would be a done deal. So I started working on it, and then by the time I got to the lace border, I knew I didn't have enough yarn. I'd almost used the whole 300 grams before I got to the border. But I was visiting my sister, so we just went to our yarn store and I got 2 more skeins because I thought surely the border won't take more than 100 grams of yarn. And then I got started on the border, which I think this is the prettiest border I've ever made. And it's also been really nice to do because this has no more bubbles, but it has a really nice cable that I've been loving to make. And the cable detail here is actually the whole reason why I wanted to do this blanket in the first place. So finally having got to the cable now is amazing. I love a good cable, and with all of the lace around as well, and these fake cables right next to it, it looks so good. I am in love. But I quickly realized that the 2 skeins I got would not be enough. I think I ran out of yarn when I had done like 20 of these little bumps, and you could not see a dent in all of the stitches. So now I've used both of the skeins I got and the little scrap I had left after doing the main blanket, and I still have like a third of the blanket left to do. So once again, for like the 5th time this month, I've lost yarn chicken. It's so demotivating. I realized I was going to lose yarn chicken after I'd finished the first skein, and trying to power through and do that second skein just to see how far I could get, I was not motivated at all. I just wanted to put this away, hide it somewhere and forget about it. But I have used so many hours doing this. I think I've used like 50 hours on this blanket, so I have not put in all of that time just to put this and let it like rot in a corner. So today I spent the whole morning on a wild goose chase looking for, I think, 2 more skeins, because now I'm just not about to lose yarn chicken. So I've been looking. I've been to my local yarn store, I've been to my semi-local yarn store, I've called around to everyone I know who has yarn, and I cannot locate my local and semi-local yarn store. They don't have this. My mom, my grandma, no one has this yarn. So I don't know what to do now. I do have another semi-local yarn store that is like an hour away, so I might go there to search, like make a day of it, or I'll have to go back. I got this yarn, like the main yarn, I got when I was visiting my friend, and then I got 2 new skeins while I was visiting my sister. So those are my options, I guess. But even though this again is ending on a bit of a sour note, it has been fun making it. I've learned a lot. It's different than the other round blankets I've made, and it is so pretty, and it's going to be huge. Like this is it folded in half, and it's this huge, and it's also pre-blocking, so this is going to be a monster of a blanket. I can't imagine how large this is going to be. It's going to be like a floor rug size. But I'm really excited. But also, I'm never going to do this again. This is my one and only time knitting this blanket, both because it's taken so much more yarn than I thought, and also the bubbles. I'm not a fan of knitting them. I love the way this looks. I'm going to be so proud and so happy once it's done, and I do think it looks amazing, but it's never happening again. This is the only time I'm knitting this. The Mini Augustins #1 is also really pretty. I would maybe say that it's not as pretty as this, but it's like 10,000 times easier to make, so that's definitely going to be my go-to when it comes to baby blankets. But it's been fun to try to do this once, and I'm definitely going to try out her other blanket too. She has the Mini Augustins #1, that's the blanket I made I think 5 times, and then this is Mini Augustins #9, and then she has another blanket that's Mini Augustins #5, and I really want to try that one as well. I think that will be easier than this one because it doesn't have bubbles, and I also think that's a large blanket as well. I think this is supposed to measure 120 centimeters across once it's done, and the mini Augustins #1 I think is 85 centimeters across, so this is a lot larger, and I also think the #5 is supposed to be a lot larger. But yeah, that is the blanket so far. I really hope I'll be able to come back soon and say that it's done. I hate when I have to stop working on a project because I ran out of yarn instead of just putting it to the side to kind of wait. But yeah, that is this one, and hopefully it won't have to wait for yarn for too much longer. I really hope I'll be able to get more yarn this week, but I don't know. I can't travel for hours and hours and hours just to find yarn, so we'll see when I'm near a yarn store with this yarn next. Hopefully in not too long, but that is the mini Augustins #9. And then in the same basket with kind of abandoned knits, I have this one. This is a test knit, so I really need to get back to it. I just haven't been home and haven't been super motivated. This is the Korsvika jacket junior for my son. He's really excited about this. I really need to get back to it. I feel kind of bad. I have a matching one that is done, and I just have to do the ribbing on the body, the sleeves, the ribbing on the neck, and then double knit button bands, and then this is done. So I really need to get around to that. I just needed a bit of a break, needed to do some other things, but I hope I'll be back to working on this. My son is really excited to get his jacket with tractor buttons. He also doesn't have that many jackets that are this chunky or really chunky knits at all, so I think this will be great. This is knit in Myfavouritethings.knitwear. It's yarn from the Sandnes Garn outlet, and the label just says unknown yarn, but it feels and looks and behaves a lot like Fritid's-garn, so I think it is that. But I've had a couple of issues with this yarn because it is from the outlet. It isn't 100%, and there are some places where like the thickness of the skein itself is very different, and then sometimes it's really thick, sometimes it's really thin. That's also part of why I have had to take a break, because I didn't love to just knit and all of a sudden it's super thin and I'm afraid it's going to break, and then all of a sudden it's super thick and like almost impossible to knit with. But I am close to being finished with this, and I know my son wants this so much, and every time I wear my version of this he asks when he can wear his, so I do feel a little bit bad that I haven't been prioritizing this, so hopefully I'll be coming back to this. I hope this will be a week where I'll just sit down, go through my old whips, abandoned whips, and just go for it, try to finish as many as possible instead of being tempted to cast on new things. I know I'm tempted to cast on new things, but I also know I don't feel that great when I end up with just tons of whips. So I really hope, at least like the chunky ones, this and the newest sitting mat, those I should be able to finish those quite quickly if I just sit down and do it. And then of course I have the Christmas sweater in here, but we're just not going to talk about that. So those are the abandoned ones. And then I did pick up something that had kind of been abandoned. It hadn't been abandoned for that long, but I did pick my birthday knit back up this week. I think it was kind of abandoned for 1 week. I didn't knit on it last week, but this was the knit I brought with me when I was visiting my sister, so I did get quite a lot on this, but it's at quite an awkward stage right now in where I've gotten on it, so it's going to be a bit hard to show. But before this week what I had done was that I've done the front and back yoke and the straps and connected a little bit in the round. I've gotten to like the row before I need to decide if I'm going to do decreases on the sides of the body or not. And I just ran out of the first skeins. I have 2 skeins to do this in the Knitting for Olive. I can't remember the color of this Knitting for Olive, but it's one of the blue shades. I love blue. Everything I make is blue, especially all of my summer knits. For some reason, they are all blue. But I had ran out of the first skein, and since I only have 2 skeins to do this, and I am a little bit afraid that that's just going to be a tiny bit too little. I'm playing yarn chicken with all of my projects lately. I hate it. But since I was a little bit afraid of that, I decided that I wanted to do all of the edges before I moved on to the body, because I can crop the body, but I can't really avoid doing the edges. So that's kind of why I abandoned it, because I'm not a big fan of doing double knitting, and all of these edges are double knit. But I decided that if I only bring this project with me while I go traveling, I'm going to get it done. And that did help. I have now done, I don't know if you can see, because as I said, it is at an awkward stage. But I have done the edges on the outer side of the straps, like the armholes. I've done the edges there on both sides. It took absolutely forever. And usually my problem with double knitting is that I'm such a tight knitter. All of my double knit button bands I have to redo because they're too tight. But for this one, it almost looks like they're too loose. But I hope that when I'm done, because I have picked up stitches now for the double knit button band, like the neck hole, like what's going to create the square neck, because this is the square neck camisole, if I didn't say. So I'm working on the actual square neck now, so I hope that once that's done, it's going to look a bit better. But it is looking a bit loose here in the front of the square neck as well, but I hope that's just because it's ribbing, and once I'm wearing it and it stretches out a bit more, that it looks better. But I am about halfway through the neck opening right now, the square neck of it, and I am starting to be a little bit afraid, because it feels like I've used quite a lot of this skein, and I still have like most of the body left to go. But after I'm done with this neckline, that's when I'm going to be able to try it on and see what I want to do when it comes to the decreases, and how far I've actually gotten, how it fits. I really hope I won't have to go back and do the double knitting again, because it's been a pain in my ass. It's on so small needles, and especially on these straps, there is so little fabric, so it's really finicky. So I hope it's good the first time. But you can kind of see here in the back how it's going to look. I'm getting really excited now that you can see the strap better too. It's a bit wider. I think this is going to be great. I love anything squared neck, and I love anything blue, so I really hope this is going to become a staple in my wardrobe. It's also my birthday knit, which makes it a bit more special. I just love everything about this. I am so excited, and now that I have kind of done all of the most stressful parts and I'm back to working on it again, it's much easier to pick it up. So hopefully that will mean that I'll also be able to finish this week, because I am almost done with the time-consuming part, and then knitting in ribbing always moves really quickly for me, because I love ribbing so much. So I just knit as fast as I can and as much as I can. Especially this 3x3 ribbing has just been amazing. And since this is a summer garment, and I'm also probably going to do decreases, there aren't that many stitches, and I'm not going to make it that long. I think I'll knit until it reaches where this one is right now, so that's not that long. So hopefully that should be a quite quick knit as well, now that I've done this much. So I hope I'll be able to finish this week as well. I also want to finish it this week, because I'm afraid that if the little bit of summer weather we have, I really want my summer knits to be finished in time for that. So I don't want to miss out on any summer weather where I could have been wearing this, so I just want to finish it as soon as possible. I'm also just really excited to wear it. I'm super excited to try it on. I can't wait until I'm finished with this last double knitting now, because then I'll be able to try it on. I really hope it will fit. That's always a bit scary with double knitting and ribbing, and on these tiny circulars as well, because it doesn't really look like it will fit, you know, but I have faith. I think it's going to be good. I am just super excited. I cannot wait. And then also, while I was visiting my sister, I also visited my friend. She lives kind of close by. It's an hour drive from my sister's, but it's way closer than if I were to drive from here. So I also visited her and her kids. My son's best friends with her kids, and she also has a little baby now. So I wanted to visit all of them. And while I was there, I asked if she had any projects she wanted help with. Sometimes when I'm there, she lets me adopt her projects. I've adopted a couple of sweaters from her. But this time I got to adopt some Sunday. Oops, there is so many things. I adopted 3 skeins of this. Let's see, I adopted 3 skeins of this Sunday. It is in this super light lilac lavender color. I am excited to work with this. I haven't worked that much with Sunday before, maybe once or twice. I've worked more with double Sunday than I have with Sunday, but I am excited to do it more. And the reason why I adopted this yarn from her is that for her baby shower, I knit her a Synnedrakt by KnitbyJacobsen, and it is her absolute favorite to wear with her for her baby girl right now. She is obsessed with that pattern, and of course with babies they grow out of everything super quickly, and I think I made the Synnedrakt for the baby shower in size 3 months, so she wants another one. So I have started on that. I'm doing size 1 year now, so it will hopefully last for longer, because then you can start wearing it while it's super oversized, and then you'll slowly grow into it. So you'll just be able to wear it for way longer. So I just started a little bit here. I find it really fun to work on the Synnedrakt because it has a really interesting construction. You start with the frill that ends up kind of in the middle of this romper. I'll show the picture of a finished one, but you start with the frill on 3.5mm needles, and then you finish the frill with I-cord, and from the I-cord is where everything's picked up, and the rest is knit on 3mm needles. So after you do the frill and I-cord, you pick up at the top of the I-cord and do kind of the yoke, knitting upwards, doing decreases, and then you pick up from the underside of the I-cord to do the rest of the romper. So it is really fun construction. It is always a bit of work to get into the lace because it is on tiny needles and there is a lot happening, but I love when you get to establish the pattern and you get to see these bumps. But I am noticing that it is a lot more work in size 1 year than it is in size 3 months, but I think it's going to be good. It's also a bit more work because Sunday is a lot thinner than Drops Baby Merino, which is the yarn I've done it in before, but I think it's going to be super cute. I can't wait to finish this and gift it back. But I started that, I got the yarn, and then I only had that one project with me and I didn't want to do double knitting when also trying to run after my son, so this was easier, but also it's not much easier because it's lace, but at least the first couple of rounds were easier because that's just garter stitch. But yeah, that is the start of that. So I've started so many projects this week and not finished any. I've just cast on a little bit here, a little bit there, so I really hope that I'm going to be able to finish projects this week. Please keep me accountable, yell at me in the comments, give me a stern talk. I need to finish projects. It's super fun to cast on new projects. It's super fun with new yarn. That feeling when you do the first couple of rounds, it's amazing, but it's not as amazing now that I'm super overwhelmed with all of the projects and I'm just trying to stress through them to get them off my needles. It's much better if I were actually able to share them and enjoy them. So I really hope I'll be able to get there. I need to focus. I think after this that I'm going to sit down with the notebook and just try to make a game plan, write down all of my projects, how long I think it will take me to finish them, and then work in the order so I will be able to finish as many as possible, just to kind of clear my head and my needles and regain my sanity, because knitting is supposed to be fun. It isn't supposed to feel like just deadline after deadline after deadline, even though I do enjoy a good deadline, but I also want it to be enjoyable and to feel like I am on top of things. But I think that's all of my active projects. I could 100% be forgetting something because there are so many now, but I think that's at least everything I was working on this week. And then I've saved for last what I am probably the most excited about. If you watched last podcast, I was talking about this dress. I can't get the dress out of my head. It is my absolute dream knit, the knit of a lifetime, just everything I want. And I have been the whole of last week and most of this week trying to figure out what yarn I wanted, talking to all of my friends who knit, and I have decided, and I think you can see that it's going to be blue. I don't think you should be that surprised after this podcast. Everything I make is blue, everything I love is blue, and since this is going to be the knit of a lifetime, I wanted to go safe. But it was so hard to pick a blue shade as well. I was standing in the shop taking pictures with blue skeins next to my face the whole time. But I think I'm happy with this shade. This was also the shade I thought I was going to get. So here it is. This is the poppy blue. And I know I said I don't love to work with knitting for olive pure silk, but this is knitting for olive pure silk. And I still don't think I'm going to love working with it because it is quite rough on the hands and it does split really easily, so it does not give the best knitting experience. I just have to be 100% truthful about that. It could be better than last time, but I'm not holding my breath. But I did kind of lean towards merino because of that. I still wanted knitting for olive because this has 250 grams per 50 meters, so it will make for the most lightweight dress, whereas baby merino, for example, only has 175 meters per 50 grams, so it would be heavier. But I was leaning towards merino, but I was talking to a knitting friend and we were talking about drape, and one of the things I love the most about this dress is the way it drapes, especially as you get more stitches, and silk will just drape better than merino, and the dress I love is also knit in kid silk, so if I want the same result I should do pure silk. So that's what I ended up with. I have not started yet because this is a dream knit. I don't want to start this stressed out about all of my projects and just rush through it. I want this to be perfect. I want to take my time, but I also want it to be finished this summer. And it's a floor length dress with like a big skirt on 3mm needles. I know the inspiration is also knit on a knitting machine, but I have faith. I think we're going to be able to do it. I just need to get like my knitting life straight. I think I'm going to take this week to hopefully like get everything sorted, and then I'm going to be doing this. I might cast this on this week. I don't know. We'll see. I love this yarn a lot. It's really hard. I think for this yarn that I'm going to do a swatch. I am a bit unsure if I'm going to do a small or medium in the dress. I am kind of between sizes for my upper body, but not really my hips. But I'm also going to be hacking the pattern anyway, so I'm going to do a swatch first, see how that looks, the drape, everything, and then move from there. So I might do the swatch this week and wait to start like the whole thing until next week. But yeah, I hope I'll get through a lot this week. I hope I'll be able to make a good plan and stick to it. I think this week that we don't have that many other plans, that I am just going to, like, it's just going to be regular life and hopefully a lot of knitting. So fingers crossed I'll be able to get to a lot. But yeah, here is the yarn. I hope it looks okay. I did wonder if I should have done like color analysis before getting the yarn for this, but I wanted to make this project this year, so I don't think I would have had the time to do color analysis first. But that's also definitely something that's on my radar, because I don't understand it. I just pick colors that make me happy. But I think there's something in that too, and I think colors that make you happy will always be great, even if it's not really your shade. But this is blue. I think blue is a safe choice. I love a good blue. It always makes me happy, and I'm going to be the one to wear this and knit this, so I think that's the most important. But here it is. I am so excited, and this was also a big splurge. Pure silk is expensive, so this was my like big yarn splurge of the century probably. I got pure silk for myself 5 years ago, and now I got it again. I think it was 5, it might have been 4, but I don't think I'm going to get expensive yarn like this more often than every 5 years, but I am really excited. I got 10 skeins. I know the inspo picture is knit using 10 skeins. I really hope that will be enough for me too, because that was all the store had. Those are all of my projects. Hopefully, I hope there isn't any more projects hiding now. And now I'm going to go back to working on them. I'm going to try to work through as many as possible. Hopefully I'll be able to finish one already today. That would be the goal, because I also need to make slippers this week, unless I'm going to fall behind. So yeah, I have a big week ahead of me. I hope it will be fine, but please yell at me in the comments so I'll actually stay on track and do what I'm supposed to, because I need a week where I just do what I'm supposed to instead of doing like all sorts of things, because this is too much. This is too many projects, too much going on at once. So now I just need to sit down and make it right. But that was everything for this week. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. That means the absolute world to me. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!